Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Southeast Louisiana. I'm Reverend Larrye-Marie Heyl, and I'm the spiritual director here. We are a group of radically inclusive spiritual renegades who are healing hearts and creating community. And each of us embrace conscious spiritual living. This week, we are consciously sending our thoughts and our love to those people that were involved 20 years ago in 9/11 who have lost loved ones and still, I know, have the pain of that when this date rolls around. And to anyone else that is still experiencing difficulties from the floods, for all the people across the United States that were impacted by Ida. Let's begin with prayer. We take a deep, nourishing breath. And we move into that place where we know the divine lives within us. That divine of good and joy and laughter and ease and safety and comfort and freedom. And we connect with all of that, knowing that that is right where we are. That we are one with that life of God. So I am thankful in this prayer that we are beginning this new series, that we can focus on moving through how we can actually live this science of mind philosophy. What I know to be the truth is everyone that's here today is here by divine appointment. There is something in the music or the reading or something in the message, some tidbit that is going to shift your life into recognizing more deeply how that flow of good that comes from the divine comes out through you. And I'm thankful in advance that this is an opportunity for us to begin this wonderful series. I'm thankful for everyone that's shown up. I'm thankful for this community. And I am so very grateful for this opportunity that I have to be the spiritual leader of people that are consciously living from that spiritual place within them and listening to that small, still voice within them. And it's with great gratitude that I release this word into the law of mind, spirit, and action, knowing the truth that God's already called it done. God's already said yes. So I can just say amen, and we can affirm it together. And so it is. I invite you now to sing along with our opening song, What a Joy We Share with Spirit.
And doubts released as we co-create with Spirit, knowing all our thoughts are prayers. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear. Because we don't remember, all our thoughts are really prayers. What a joy we share with Spirit, all our fears and doubts released as we co-create with Spirit. All our thoughts are prayers, and as we change our thoughts and actions, seeking higher consciousness, finding peacefulness and comfort, knowing Spirit's always there. What a joy we share with Spirit,
is our time for celebration and healing. Our time in our service where we celebrate life and we pray for people who desire prayer. We begin with celebration, so I invite you to say aloud, so that the whole universe can hear it, any event in your life for which you're grateful and joyful this week. And now we turn to the healing portion of our service. We're a community steeped in healing. So we pause now to pray for anyone who's not feeling the joy of life that we perhaps were just feeling. They're not feeling maybe that they have things to celebrate. And I truly love this part of our service because it's so in alignment with who we are. So let's pray. God is all there is. God is that love and that peace and ease and grace and freedom and so much more. And as an individual expression of the divine, each of us have within us all of these qualities of spirit. They're available to us right here and right now. And what I know to be the truth is that there are people on this planet right now that aren't embracing those qualities. So we stop for a moment and we create a circle of love. And in this community, we place in that circle of love anyone that we recognize within ourselves or for someone else that might need prayer. So I'm going to pause and I just invite you to say aloud the names of all of those people that you want to include in our circle of love. I know that God is right where each of us happens to be, right here and right now, moving in, through, and as each of us. And I know that the divine has heard every name that we spoke, either in our hearts or aloud. And what I'd like you to do now is pause again, and from your heart to all of theirs, just send out love, knowing that the divine knows exactly how to distribute it. And what I know to be the truth is that anything that needs to be released within each of these people is being released now, be it disease of the mind, of the body, of the soul. I know that anything that's seeking to come forth and be lifted up can be lifted up. And that this release and this lifting up is healing whatever's called to be healed. I know that each of these people is feeling more deeply their connection with the divine right now. I have evidence of that, and I know it to be the truth for everyone that we place in our circle. So I'm so grateful to know that the God without is the God within me. The God without is the God within every person in our circle, every person in this community, and every person on this planet. And I'm grateful for that power of community prayer and what it means to the uplifting of the people on this planet. So it's from all that gratitude that I release this prayer into the law of mind, spirit, and action. Because I know that the divine, in all of its wisdom, has already called all of this good. Any heavy lifting that needs to be done to heal whatever needs to be healed, the divine is already taken care of. So I can just know it's already done, say amen, and together we can affirm it. And so it is. I invite you to join me for our community affirmation. My life's purpose is already within me, and I am committed to its unfoldment. I am here by divine appointment to join in a community that cares for one another, to be in a place that transforms people's lives, to remember the highest truth about myself, to learn spiritual tools for personal transformation, and thus to make the world a more joyful place. This is our time for meditation, and we're moving this week into this song of Let This Great Power, because there is a power behind each one of us. And I'm just going to invite you during this meditation to let go of all the outside world noises and distractions, and just to really have this time, your own time with the divine, to listen to whatever message comes. And at the end of the music, sing along with the music team. The words are there so you can follow along.
Oh, let this great power wash through, wash through. Oh, let this great power wash through, wash through. I don't have to wonder what to say or what to do. Just let this great power wash through, wash through. Oh, let me see God's light in you, in you. Oh, let me see God's light in you, in you. I don't have to see the truth. Just let me see God's light in you, in you.
So we let this great power wash over us as we move into that space where we know that there is a power that can, will, and must react to us in the way that we think. So as we settle into this time of quiet, we just allow the divine to settle into us. We allow that great power to move through us. And we listen to whatever the message is that comes. And as we return from the silence, we bring back with us whatever message that we received, knowing that as we walk in this life of faith, that great power washes over us.
Oh, let this great power wash through. Oh, let this great power wash through. I don't have to wonder what to say or what to do. Just let this great power wash through. Oh, let me see God's light in you. Oh, let me see God's light in you. I don't have to see the truth. Just let me see God's light in you. Just let this great power wash through.
My name is Nancy Wirtz, and our reading today is from Living the Science of Mind, the section on thinking affirmatively. This is one of my favorite Ernest Holmes books. We are surrounded by a creative mind which reacts to our thought. This is the basis of all faith and all effective prayer. This is why Jesus told us that when we pray, we should believe we already have what we desire. When Jesus said that it is done unto us as we believe, he implied that there is a power that can, will, and must react to us. But this power has no choice other than to react to us in the way we think. This power acts as a law, operating on our beliefs. This is why Jesus said, it is done unto us as we believe. Until the time of Jesus, it had been believed that God might help us, that there were concessions that he would make if we pleased him or if we performed certain rites or ceremonials. Jesus changed these superstitions into certainties. He said simply and directly that there is a power that operates on your belief, the way you believe. Therefore, he added, be sure that you believe that you already have that which you desire. Then the law of good will bring it to you. But even the law of good, which is all powerful, can bring you only as much as you accept. This accepting is an act on your mind. It is an act of faith. No one else before Jesus made such a claim. Only within the last 100 years or less have people come to realize that he was talking about a spiritual principle in which we are all rooted, which operates on our faith, our conviction, our acceptance. It's the very simplicity of his claim that causes us to overlook its deep and dynamic meaning. Jesus was really saying this: you are surrounded by a mind, a power, an intelligence, or a principle that receives the impress of your thought, acts upon it exactly as you think. Your thoughts are like an image held in front of a mirror. Thought itself is a law, reflecting back to you what you think.
This song that the music team is singing, Our Thoughts Are Prayers, is really about part of what we're saying in the message, that our thoughts become what shows up in our lives. So let's make them prayers for good.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always ready. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer. Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always ready. Our thoughts are prayers. Take charge of what you're saying. Seek higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer. Our thoughts are prayers, the tools that we create with. Our thoughts are prayers that spirit resonates with. Seek higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
I want to thank the CSL music team for the great music today, and of course our reader for doing such a wonderful job of that excerpt from the essays. We're starting a new 13-week series today on living the science of mind, and each week is independent. I hope that you'll make as many of them as you can and catch the other ones during the week sometimes. This week we're doing an overview of living the science of mind. It's a book of essays that are essays of Ernest Holmes, where he wrote them to explain the teachings that he wrote in The Science of Mind. Ernest Holmes is our founding father, and I find these essays easy to read and interpret, a lot easier than some of the chapters in The Science of Mind. So I'm hoping that you'll get the book and read through it with us, and if not, just come and enjoy the messages for the next 13 weeks and get a little bit more insight into our philosophy and what we stand for. Our focus this week is in an overview and exactly how Holmes saw the science of mind, our physical and our spiritual natures, how we are being on this planet. But first, the question of the week: what's the one choice that you can make today to know that it is done unto you as you believe, to think affirmatively, and to keep the passageway of your thoughts open to the divine flow of good? One more time. What's the one choice that you can make today to know it is done unto you as you believe, to think affirmatively, and to keep the passageway of your thoughts open to the divine flow of good? I said that this is a 13-week series, and some weeks there's more essays on the reading list than others. And for a list of each of the weeks, you can download the series overview from our website. So let's get started with exactly what it means to be living the science of mind. In the opening essay, we read this: the science of mind is an outgrowth of the spiritual faith which people have had throughout the ages. Before science was conceived, the presence of God was felt. Before ever mental actions or reactions were analyzed, history was filled with instances of men and women who had experienced God. Men and women who had experienced God, and it had nothing to do with all of the analyzation that we do today. Holmes went on to speak about harmony in the law. This science necessarily starts with the proposition that we are living in a spiritual universe whose sole government is one of harmony, and that the use of right ideas is the enforcement of its law. We are living in a spiritual universe, one of harmony. We just don't always stop to recognize that or to believe it. In his later writings, Holmes actually referred to the two basic concepts that make up this philosophy: love and law. And today we can see how love and harmony really go hand in hand and are somewhat synonymous. It's difficult to have one without the other, isn't it? I think the most revealing words in his opening essays were this: the science of mind is a reinterpretation of the universe by a process of thought which Jesus used. We learn that there is one body, the body of right ideas. Jesus sensed this body of God, which includes man's body, as a perfect, harmonious unit. And he realized that the evil which binds man is not a principle within itself, nor a thing of itself, and most certainly not a person, son, but merely a false system of thought. He understood that his knowledge of good annihilated that which denied good. This fundamental fact that he clearly brought out in his teachings: the truth known is followed by the truth demonstrated. So there's quite a bit of meat in that quote. First of all, that the evil which binds man is merely a false system of thought. Think about that for a minute. Evil is a false system of thought. It's error thinking. And the truth known is followed by the truth demonstrated. How often have you heard me quote that phrase of Jesus, that it's done unto you as you believe? As you believe. Holmes wrote about this phrase. When Jesus said that it is done unto us as we believe, he implied that there is a power that can, will, and must react to us. But this power has no choice other than to react to us in a way we think. No other choice but to react to us in the way we think. So how do we today step into knowing the truth so that that truth can be demonstrated in our lives? How do we go about annihilating everything from our thoughts which denies good, and therefore embracing our own good? How do we start thinking in a way that when the law reacts to it, we're bringing about our own good and good for everybody else? Holmes consistently tells us that only as much good comes to us as we can conceive. That's one of our fundamental teachings. Only as much good comes to us as we can conceive. So how much good do you want to conceive? How much good do you want showing up in your lives? I know I want oodles of it. So it's up to me to annihilate any of those thoughts that deny my good. And that means thinking affirmatively. How often have you heard me quote this quote of Holmes? There is a power for good in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. There is a power for good in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. I believe that down to my very core. And if you embrace this philosophy, you most likely believe it as well. So why do we not use it more often or more effectively? In the reading today, you heard that we are all united with a creative, invisible force, and this force reacts to our thoughts. And we heard that Jesus reminded us we have to believe that when we ask, it's given. That's why that song about our thoughts are prayers is so important. Every thought that we think is putting something out into the universe, and it's coming back to us. So how do we go about knowing that we are moving from this creative invisible force, that we're allowing it to flow through us? Is there somewhere in that process where perhaps you fall short? Something that blocks your flow of good? The reading told us that the idea seems so simple that we often overlook how powerful it is. I love that Holmes likened our thoughts to images held in front of a mirror. If we truly examine our thoughts every day, how might we make changes? Perhaps it's time we really start looking at our thoughts. Perhaps it's time we stand in front of that mirror. Mirror, mirror of my thoughts. What am I bringing about? Yeah. There are two other key points in the section on thinking affirmatively. And I think that it's important that we look at them. Our thoughts are either silently attracting good to us or repelling it from us. And the other one is we can change our thinking and change our lives. Both of those are important concepts to embrace. If we believe that it's true that our thoughts are attracting or repelling our good, wouldn't we want to be more careful about those thoughts so that they actually attract our good rather than repelling it? The interesting part is that most of our thoughts are unconscious ones. A lot of them we adopted at infancy, or thoughts that we never truly examined. Some we took from people we trusted, and others we developed because something repeatedly seemed to happen in our lives, and so we developed a belief around it. Perhaps even some of our self-talk is about our unworthiness or not being good enough. It's time to start examining those thoughts and bringing about more good in our lives, examining the thoughts and deciding if they're ones that we still truly believe. Anyone with me on that? I bet the third concept actually pans out when you start changing your thinking. I'm guaranteeing you that if you change your thinking to have more positive thoughts, your life is going to change. If you start truly believing that good is coming to you, more good is going to come to you. We can change our lives by letting go of things that no longer serve us. And we need to lift up our thoughts to do that. Truly embrace those compliments from our friends. How many of you actually really take in the compliment and appreciate it? And actually mean it when you say thank you, or don't dismiss it by saying, oh, it was nothing. How about those things that come from deep within us, and we know that there's something that we do well? We cook well, or we help others well, or we are a good friend to people. The things that we know are our gifts from the divine. I invite you to notice exactly the part of your life that is the essence of all the good that the divine has instilled in you. And notice when you start paying more attention to that, if your life actually does change for the better. My guess is it will. But sometimes it takes an effort for us to have that happen. Learn to take your thoughts captive. Focus your attention on the reality, on good, on just, on the pure, on the things that bring joy. Stop and smell the roses. Enjoy those awesome moments of life that we might just pass along and not really stop and pay attention to. And start with the little things. Here's an example. The next time you're feeling tired, instead of saying, I'm tired, say, I could use a little bit more energy. It might be amazing that what you've asked the universe to give you is more energy. So instead of getting more tired, you actually have a little boost. Or here's another one. Instead of saying, I don't have enough time or money or whatever to do this, that, or the other, say this: God is my source and all in my life is in divine order. God is my source and all in my life is in divine order. Or how about this? I'm in the right place, right where I'm supposed to be. And when you feel like you're struggling, turn it over to God. Let God do it. Holmes was a great believer in prayer. In this philosophy of the science of mind, we call prayer spiritual mind treatment. Because what we're doing is treating our mind to the truth so that we really can step into our spirituality. I know you've often heard me say, one of my favorite quotes is this: there's nothing to be healed, only the truth revealed. When we place on our minds on what we know to be the truth, healing does occur. When we let go of all the things that we worry about, or all the things that are really not the truth, or we just made them up in our minds, then our body can start healing those places that are creating negative energy because of all those beliefs. What I know is that no matter how things appear to be, no matter what it looks like on the outside, in this human life, that God's in it somewhere. I bet you can finish this phrase for me. There is absolutely no spot where God is not. If we believe that, then we can let go and let God. We can release things so that we don't have to handle everything. We can let God do it. You know, there's a bunch of falls in Colorado as part of the Rocky Mountains. And all of those falls actually come from this base of water that flows way beneath the surface. And it's that water that flows beneath the surface that makes all of these falls so absolutely beautiful. Some of them are more impressive than others. Some of them the water flows abundantly and other ones not so abundantly, maybe just a little bit of a trickle, but it's a beautiful fall. When we actually look at all those fountains that are coming from that same source, what we know is that there's a deep subterranean level that flows, and each of those fountains is coming from that. Each of those fountains is supplied by this one body of water, and it gushes up, having that pressure be so that these falls make part of this beautiful valley in the Rockies just gorgeous for people to look at. And the waterfalls, I think, are a great example of how nature reflects life. Holmes likes to liken it to our spiritual nature. We as individuals each have our own thoughts, feelings, hopes, aspirations, and desires. And each is directly and intimately connected with the one divine life, energy, and power. Each of us is a fountain of life. There is a God pressure back of each one of us, a life force seeking outlet through our thoughts and acts. There are many fountains, many individuals, but only one God pressure back of all of it. Imagine if we allowed our thoughts to focus on the God pressure that's back of each of us, that life force that's seeking an outlet through us, through our thoughts, through our acts. Can you see how that might have us focusing more on our good? Or focusing more on our thoughts that there is one life that's God's life and it's our life as well, are focusing on how to just relax into that God pressure to sustain us and move us through anything that appears difficult. Those fountains in the Rockies, don't think about, oh, well, what if the water source dries up? Oh, well, what's going to happen to me if the water source isn't there any longer? They just flow consistently because the pressure is there from deep within. It's a beautiful analogy, I think, to think of the fountain of God pouring forth from each of us. Each fountain in the mountain is of itself nothing, but it's dependent on the pressure that is back of it. And each of us is a fountain that depends upon the God pressure back of us. Our good works come from the divine. It's when we take time to listen to that still small voice within us that we know exactly how to move forward in life. It's those small nudges that help us reach our full potential, that allow us to overcome difficulties and see the potential gift in them, or that allow us to monitor our thoughts so that we bring about our good and allow that flow of the divine good to wash over ourselves and others as well. So this series is about learning to step fully into being all that you can be. Learning to know how to use that creative life of which we're all a part. Learning to take hold of our thoughts and direct them in such a way as to bring about our good. Learning to let God do it when it's not ours to do. Holmes put it this way: each one of us is an inlet to the divine. But because we are individuals, we can inhibit its flow, we can block it, or squeeze it down to a small volume, or even stop it. Or, by opening up all the channels of faith and conviction and hope, we can increase its flow. When the natural joy of life is unblocked, it will flow freely through us, and we shall become whole and happy. But doubt, fear, uncertainty, anxiety, and a sense of insecurity can so congest our mental life that nothing good can get through. We are born with a natural desire to express life. So what I know is I want to fully express life. I want all those channels of good to be flowing through me, all that joy of life to increase my joy. And so I'm inviting you to let go of the doubt, the fear, the uncertainty, the anxiety, that sense of insecurity, and do what you are born to do. Have that natural desire to express life fully. So in summary, decide this week to truly live the science of mind philosophy. Reinterpret the universe. Remember that the truth known is followed by the truth demonstrated. And there is a power that can, will, and must react to each of us. And then remember to think affirmatively. Mirror, mirror of my thoughts. What am I bringing about? Take your thoughts captive and focus on good. And also, let God do it. Remember the God pressure that's behind your fountain of life. It's a life force that's seeking an outlet through your thoughts and your acts. Allow it to do that. And if things are difficult, just turn them over to God. So here's your affirmation for the week. How is it that I so easily and willingly know it is done unto me as I believe? Think affirmatively and keep the passageway of my thoughts open to the divine flow of good. So I want to challenge you this week to pause a few times each day and just notice your thoughts. And if they're focused on good, great. And if they're not, shift them so that you can focus on something good. Let it, whatever it is you're worrying about, let God have it. And focus yourself and focus your thoughts on something good so you can bring about more good on the planet. We want to live in a universe that's filled with love and laughter. And we do that by managing our thoughts and focusing on that fountain of good. That's the God pressure flowing out through us.
From the love of your spirit within me, I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal, bless, and prosper. It does good work in the world and returns to me, multiplied abundantly. From the love of your spirit within me, I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal, bless, and prosper. It does good work in the world and returns to me, multiplied abundantly. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is.
You can find all of the information for donating at our website at cslsoutheastla.org. You can use the donate button there, or you can use Zella or Venmo at 225-287-8887. You can text your amount to 1-225-320-5100. Or you can mail your donation to CSL Southeast Louisiana, care of Reverend Larrye-Marie Heyl, 445 Magnolia Wood Avenue, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 70808. We thank you for your tithes and donations, and we appreciate the fact that you are giving gifts that are flowing out to everyone we touch.
When we live in the truth of what is, we're living in our faith. When we live in the doubt of things, we just bring about a life that's not filled with good. So this song that the music team is singing is about living in our faith or doubt. And it's so apropos.
I hear things I've never heard. And sometimes when I'm reaching for a greater understanding, the bottom seems to drop out of my world. And could it be I'm stronger than I've ever been before? Have I
Next week, our series continues with religion, spirituality, and new thought. We're going to take a look at what it means to be religious versus what it means to be spiritual, and a number of the beliefs that our philosophy of life, of science of mind has, and some of the things that we've based this philosophy on.
Thank you for joining us today. We invite you to like us on Facebook at Center for Spiritual Living Southeast Louisiana, and follow us on YouTube. Our channel is CSL SELA. You can also join us for our community time. You have a little bit of time to go grab coffee or tea and maybe a snack. Then dial in and join us for a live discussion. The conference line, which we use every week, is 515-604-9000. So put it in your phone with the participation code 475220. We begin with the discussion of the service and follow up with a process to help you dive more deeply into the concept of the day. We hope you'll join us.
So in closing, remember, Disney claims to be the happiest place on earth, but we at the Center for Spiritual Living in Southeast Louisiana know that we are absolutely the most joyful place on earth. And so, until we meet again, may you be wrapped in the arms of love and kindness, and may you embrace every thought that brings about good and deny any that do not. When we are standing in our own good, what I know is we feel very much alive.
Alive, alive, alive forevermore. My spirit is alive, alive forevermore. Alive, alive, alive forevermore. My spirit is alive. Sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah. My spirit is alive forevermore. Sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah. My spirit is alive. Alive, alive, alive forevermore. My spirit is alive, alive forevermore. Alive, alive, alive forevermore. My spirit is alive. Sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah. My spirit